morning, guys. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Welcome to the Fearless Morning Show. Hold on one second. Let me get you guys situated. Good morning. Good morning. That's too much? That's just right. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the Fearless Morning Show, where we are having confessions and conversations about your everyday life. My name is Yamitra JoJo Waddell, the only honey live past crazy specialist. So a better place to be than here with me, and we are official. So if y'all don't know, I got my trademark in the mail. So let me tell you, hold on, let me share this. So I got my trademark in the mail, and that means that I am officially, in the eyes of the government, the only one who can use the Live Past Crazy Specialist. I am certified, and we are excited. We are trademarked and patented by the United States government. It was a process, but it was worth it. Good morning, Tracy. Good morning, and how do you do? All right, guys. So I hope you enjoyed the show yesterday, and that you shared it with a friend. Yesterday's show was really, really good. Like, it was really good. If you missed it yesterday, please go back and watch yesterday's show. Like, we had a good time. So, please make sure you share the show. If your friends and family don't have Facebook, send them over to the YouTube channel. They can binge watch all the Fearless Morning shows over there. And I would greatly appreciate it. I absolutely cannot do this by myself. I cannot help my sister or my brother without help from everyone. So it is all our responsibilities, okay? All right, so let's get right into the quote of the day. The quote of the day: and the day came when the risk to remain tight in a bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom. The day came when the risk to remain tight in a bud was greater than the risk it took to blossom. I like that quote. So can we make it simple? Yeah, there's a little gnat bothering me. And the day came when the risk to remain tight in a bud was more painful. It was greater than the risk to bloom. Meaning, we're at our day one, right? Right here, this is your day one, where the risk of you staying the same is being questioned. It is harder to stay the same than it is to blossom. And that's why I love that quote. The day came, which is your day one, which is today, when the risk came to remain tight in a bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom. So we taking risks this morning, and we're going to blossom, and we're going to do all the things, and we're going to have fun with it. We're going to have ourselves a good time. Good morning, Tiffany. Good morning. Please make sure you share the show, guys, because sharing is caring. If your friends and family do not have Facebook, send them over to the YouTube channel. They can binge watch all the Fearless Morning shows over there. All right, guys, so let's get right into the thought of the day, which is false security. We got to let go of false security. So what is false security? False security is you assuming that happy May 1st. It is May 1st. It's the first of the month. Y'all know if something makes me think of a song, I got to sing the song. That's Kiba's fault. Kiba just said that. So it's her fault that I sang the song. It's the first of the month. Y'all remember that? Remember when Bone Thugs-n-Harmony first came out and we all tried to rap like them and as fast as they were doing it? It's the first of the month. It is mental health month. May is mental health month. So make sure you're helping a sister or brother out. There are plenty of resources out there for you as well. So today, the fearless thought of the day is letting go of falsehoods, letting go of the security of falsehoods, right? Because sometimes we assume that we are secure in our world. And that's okay to think that. We assume that we are secure in our world. But some of us are holding on to false security of what's going on. False security meaning, I always say, right when you go to sleep and right when you wake up, that's when you're at your truest self. That's when your brain doesn't know to operate to stop you from thinking your good free thoughts. And that's when you say, this ain't working. And that's when you admit to yourself you want something different. And when your body begins to wake up, then your brain catches up with you. And it's like, nope, what you got is good. And here, this is what I know. Let me fix this. This is what I know. Is that holding on to your false security can have you compromising your character, your mental health, your emotional well-being, and everything that makes you stable every day. This is how you hold on to false security. He may not be the best, but at least he's not this, so, and he has done this and this and this, so I don't want to lose what I've already put in. How many of us know people that say, well, I done put 20 years on in, and so I can't lose it. I might as well hang on in there. Is that not false security? That's false thinking you have something that's solid when it's not. You have a false bottom. There's no foundation to it. There's no truth to it. And the truth that you insist on making out of it, is it real? Is it the real truth? For whoever and whomever. Is it really real? Or are you compromising everything and insisting on painting a picture of, I'm secure in my womanhood, I'm secure in my family, my foundation is secure, my family name, well, it's, our family, we've got to keep up the appearances because, we're Waddells and you can't go out and do this as a Waddell. But is it solid? Is your foundation solid or is it false? Are you insisting that it's true when it's not? Because right now it's giving you false security. So that means at any point of time that it becomes questioned or it becomes shaky, now you're having to deal with the reality of what you thought was real is really not. And then you have to deal with all the emotions that come along with you have been holding on to a false security the entire time. Or you've been holding on to something that you knew it wasn't true, but because you wanted to keep up the appearances of it, and then one day when it all comes tumbling down, then you have to face the reality of it. Then the process becomes harder. I'm guilty of all of that. So this is our day one. Welcome to your day one. And the day when the risk to remain tight in a bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom. Good morning, ma'am. How you doing? So today we're at this point. This is where we're challenging our false security right here. Because right now we are thinking that the little bud that we're in, and that if we remain tight inside of our cocoon, tight inside of the structure that we have built, that nothing can shake the foundation. But is it really secure, or are you at the point of breaking and bubbling over? Is it more painful to stay in your tight little bud than it is to blossom? I look at it as, if I am moving out of my tight blood and I am blossoming into something, I'm able then to stretch myself and to look at myself in the full capacity of who I am. Because when you insist on being this tight thing, everything that makes you has nowhere to go. It is bouncing against everything that you insist on convincing yourself of that it's okay. So what do we do when we have a false security, or we think we have one and we're not really sure? And how do we let go of it? So the first thing I think that we have to do is we've got to realize that we have made this so on purpose. Like, you made this false security happen, and then you made it. And I think this is the human in us. We try to make the best of every situation. And so and I'm the world's worst at this. I focus on all the good. Be like, oh, but look, it's pretty. Oh, but look, it's so tiny and cute. Oh, but look. And then you find yourself continuously making, what's the word I want to use? Adjustments to yourself for the situation, a purpose, place, a thing, insert whatever. And then because you keep making adjustments, now you're having to create a false reality or false security. So we do this, and it is a protection mechanism, I firmly believe. Because at the end of the day, we all want security, right? We all want to feel safe and know that we're important, that we are loved. So we're going to take what we're given and we're going to make that part so secure to make ourselves feel better. Well, on this journey, y'all, at some point, again, if you're not talking to yourself and listening and finding out what's really going on, you're going to continue to stay in that false security. And it's going to be painful. It's going to hurt. And you can say, well, I guess it's going to hurt because I'm not changing. Well, I guess it's going to hurt because I'm not leaving. I guess it's going to hurt because I'm not doing this. Well, there are consequences that come along to that. We talked about that yesterday. But did you do it, though? The main thing. We talked about the place where you make a stand doesn't matter. What matters is that you stood and you're still here. But what are you standing for? Your first step doesn't have to be the giant dramatic leap with glitter and balloons. Your first step has to be admitting, maybe I have a false security about myself. Maybe I have a false security about my friendship. Maybe I have a false security about my job. What am I going to do about that? And here's another question you're free to ask yourself. Do you even have to do anything? You don't have to do anything about it. You're free to carry on exactly how you are. You're free. Because this is what happens when you have the thought. Because you can build it up. Let me show you how you build up the false security. It's, you know what, you say, this ain't working. But at least, because you know your butts will kill you. But at least it's not this bad. And then you will take that but at least, and you will build upon it. Remember in English class, they tell you to build upon that thought. And this is you building upon that thought. So it's not as bad as, well, at least he's not hitting me. But at least he's not an alcoholic. But at least he's not. And so here you are. You have you insist on having one good thought about something. And you hold on to it. And then you keep building good thoughts on top of that. But if the first thought is shaky and not secure for yourself, but you are trying to make it that, your thought is like this. This is frustration, anger, mad, depression, sad, overwhelmed, anxiety. It starts here where you insisted on having a false security about a thought or a place or a person. I don't like this job, but the pay is good, so I'm going to sacrifice and I'm going to work it. And then you build good thoughts on it. You hate going to work. You cry when you get there. You stressed out. You don't like none of the people that you work with. You see how you can have one thought and build upon it really fast so that you make it good? So we can know, and please tell me I'm not the only one guilty of this. We can know it's bad. Like, we can know that it's not good. Like, you know what, JoJo, this ain't it. But girl, it is though. But look, JoJo, let me help you out. Let me show you where it's good at. And then I talked myself into something I had no business doing. You talk yourself into stuff that you had no business doing in the first place. And that is you building on your false security. That's you insisting that you would rather remain in this bud than to stretch out and blossom. That's you insisting on that thing. And like we talked about yesterday, if you keep the main thing, then you're going to take action on it. The place where you made your stand never matters. It's only that you were there and that you're still standing. In today's quote, and the day came when the risk to remain tight in a bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom. So here you are looking at your false security. And your false security can be whatever you define it. It could be that relationship that you know is not serving you. It could be the friendship that you know is not good for you. It could be the job that you hate. Your false security could be the image that you have built up around based on other people's preconceived ideas and notions of you. And so that's how you can feel like you're not yourself. That's how you can be like, man, this don't even seem real. That's how you can feel the anxiety and stress. Let me tell you how I built a false security. You got some free time. We're in quarantine. Go read book 1, Fearless Woman, Born to Give Thanks. So here's my false security. My husband bashing me in the head every day, busting my lip. But at least he a man of God. You see how crazy that sounds? My husband pushed me out of a moving car, but at least he went on to church and preached the word of God. My husband slapped me in his church office, but at least he dressed nice. At least he articulate. At least he can preach the paint off the walls. It sounds crazy, right? Me trying to take that something false and make it solid and make it a security that it's not. It sounds crazy, right? And that's how simple you have to make it. You got to look at it and be like, JoJo, now, come on now. This sounds a little crazy. You're trying to build on that. Because when you insist on making that falsehood real and making something secure out of something it was never meant to be, you will take a good thought, however you can get it, however you can finagle it and twist it around, and then you will start building on it. And the next thing you know, you building on stuff that's like this. And here comes the stress, the anxiety, the weight gain, the depression, suicide. I tried all of that. I tried all of that. Tried to kill myself, the window wasn't open. I'm depressed, postpartum, hair fell out, gained weight, all the above. Because when you start to build on something that's not true, listen, if you look at your body right now, and I know that I said this maybe on Tuesday, your body is showing you right now that something on the inside is not correct. Your body is letting you know, hey, I don't know what emotional or mental things you got going on, but it is affecting us physically. Can you please pay attention to that? And your body is trying to get your attention every single day. Like when I work out, my kneecap is reminding me that I'm 44. My hip reminds me quite frequently, you ain't that girl on the soccer field no more. And we need to start paying attention to the clues that our body leaves us in our mind. So if you're insisting on making whatever you're dealing with that's not true to who you are true, you're not ready to deal with the false security that you created, welcome to crazy, because this is where you are. It is going to continue. It will spiral out of control. You will begin to decorate your cage of insanity. And you will look at other people and wonder why they think you're crazy. Because I used to think, why people think I'm crazy? Because they can see you working just as hard as you can to build on something that's not solid. And you owe it to yourself. We talked about that yesterday. I really liked this thought yesterday. Validate your excuses with yourself. You had to validate with yourself why you want this to be true, JoJo. Why did I want the man that was beating me, pull my hair out in the center of my head, down the hallway, choke me to death? Why was I insisting on making something secure out of that? Validate that thought, JoJo. Well, and you see, and you can't. Because if you get down to because we're taking away all the obstacles, right? And we're going to get down to the things that's really simple. Let's get to the simplicity of it. Is it serving you as a person, as a human? And please understand, let's have adult conversation. There's a difference between me meeting somebody halfway and we on the same journey and doing the same thing, and you being in a friendship, relationship, job, whatever that is not serving you as a person. But first, you got to understand what it is that you want. That was Monday, right? I want it. That was the thought of the day. I want it. You may want it, but are you willing to do the work to get it and to keep it? And in all of that, you got to be able to articulate that. And so if you're not sure, okay, so if you're on the journey, you're like, okay, JoJo, I'm letting go of this false security and I'm ready to deal with it. Well, first you got to learn how to communicate with yourself. Did you have that conversation with yourself to say, self, now listen, because you can't skip a part. You can't go over a step. You can't, okay, JoJo, you right. I'm going to let this go. False security, okay, done. Relationship, done. Friendship, done. I done handled all of that. But did you handle it and deal with it? Or did you just remove it from your sight and never dealt with it? Because it's still here. It's still back here. There's a book called The Body Keeps Score. And if you're a nerd like me, that's a great book to read. It's called The Body Keeps Score. And it talks about all the thoughts that you have. That anytime you hear a thought or a situation that comes back up, your body that keeps score is going to remind you, hey, you've been down this road before. Hey, you know this before. So if you don't take the time to handle it right then and deal with it, let's make it quite simple. Hey, JoJo, why did you stay? Oh, because I was scared. And all your reasons are valid. See, I had to do this after I left my abuser. I am both the problem and the solution. It's not my fault that he hit me. That was not my problem. I needed to leave and I left. Now, after I left, living in a shelter was my problem and my solution. You want to live here? No. What you going to do about it? Oh, I want to leave. Well, how you going to do it? Remove all the barriers that you have for yourself. Well, JoJo, I can't do this because it's hard. It's only hard because you don't want to do the work of it. It's hard because if you look at the things that are false in your life, it's then going to require you to take responsibility for the next step to take care of it. It's then going to require you to think a different thought. It's going to require a different action from you. It's going to require a different outcome. And then when you start looking at you making that change for yourself, you're looking at the ramifications that it's going to bring to absolutely everybody and every person that you touch in your life. You're going to start looking at that. And then this, my brother and my sister, is where you come to the fork in the road. This is where you come to the part that says, are you going to go this way or are you going to go that way? This is where the invisible stretch of the road. This is where you take responsibility for your actions. And I heard y'all know I love this quote. You can't make a decision right here because you are focused on what you're losing. You're not focused on what you're gaining. So you would rather stick with a false security because all you can see is, man, if I make this decision today, I may lose a wife, I may lose a kid, I may lose a husband, a job, my friends, and every false structure you have built may come crumbling down. And the domino effect of that is so overwhelming for you, you insist on or you assume that staying in that false security is the best thing to do. So think about it like this. Think about what you would be gaining if you made that decision instead of focusing on what you're losing. Because is what you're losing really valid? I want you to validate your excuses with yourself. But why though? We always talk about this, you are powerful, that you're so powerful, you are using everything in you to convince yourself that you're not smart. It takes a lot of work to do that, because the natural progression of a human is to greatness, and you are using all your superpower to go against everything that you were created to do. So are you going to continue with that false security, or are you going to take time to validate your excuses with yourself? And until we're ready to have that honest conversation, and some of us will never have it because it will require us to take responsibility for our thoughts and our actions. And you can say, but JoJo, that's not true. Let me tell you something. What is consistent is what is true. What is consistent is what is true. If you consistently do this thing, that makes it true. Your intent no longer is valid to me. What you consistently do is true. That's what I can see. You know the 3 questions: what is my intent, what is my intention, and why am I saying yes? You purposefully do that every day. So I can see that. What is consistent is what is true. I want to get rid of this double chin. What is consistent is I eat potato chips and Oreo cookies. That's true. The fact that I want to get rid of double chin clearly is not true. You see how simple that is? Let's validate our excuses to ourselves. And if you're not willing to have that conversation with you, your crazy will continue to cycle out of control, however you define it. But I'm here to tell you on this wonderful Friday that the natural progression of a human is to be great. The natural progression of a human is to greatness. You assuming that you're not great, that is you putting your own self-imposed restrictions on your dynamic structure. Your cells in your body were meant to be great. But you are so powerful, yet again, you're overriding your entire metabolic system to insist that you can't do it. You already a millionaire, but because you would rather hold on to the thought that I'm not. So once you have a thought and you start building on it, you make that true. I'm not a millionaire. I can never have money. I'm broke. I can never have a better job. I have to live here. I can never move there. I have to do this. I can only have this kind of relationship. Nobody's going to love me. And you start building on that false security, because now it's become comfortable. It's become your story. It's what you always tell. And what story would you tell if you couldn't tell that one? So validate your excuses. Why do you insist on making this true? Quote of the day: and the day came, and this is your day, because we're not doing one day, we're doing day ones. And the day came when the risk to remain tight in a bud was more painful, was greater than the risk it took to blossom. That simply means you staying locked up in your shell and assuming that there's no greatness in you is so painful. It is more painful than it is to let go and blossom and be who you're supposed to be. And if you don't believe me, like Joe, and here, you can let me show you how you get ready to validate your excuses with me. Because I've been there, honey. Let me tell you. That's why I'm the only Live Past Crazy specialist officially. We trademarked and everything. Y'all, I'm excited. This is how you do it with yourself. Man, JoJo, and I will preface this by saying, I don't know your story, but I understand your journey. I know what you're thinking. JoJo, see, you can think stuff like that because, no, you can't use that excuse. See, JoJo, you don't understand. It's the way I was brought up. You cannot use that as an excuse. You can't use that one. But JoJo, you don't understand. I love him and we have kids together and that's all my kids know. So I don't want to mess up my children's foundation. You assuming your kids are slow. They not slow. They know more than you do, because they have yet to have all the structure and self-imposed restrictions that you have. So they're free to think their thoughts and see the reality of the current situation. And you are the one insisting that your false security is true when it's not. Yes, put them bags down. So validate your excuses with yourself. And until you're willing to do that, we will stay in this false security. That's how you can have, and then that's how you can always talk yourself into, and that's how powerful you are. You can talk yourself into and out of everything. You just talked yourself out of that $1 million idea by saying, I don't know, man, I ain't got the time. I don't have the patience. I'm older. Please never talk to me and tell me that you're too old to do a thing. Your body ages, not your mind. So yesterday we took away all our restrictions. If your body is telling you something and you can say physically, I'm not able to do this, but your mind never stopped. And every change that you want to make begins here in the mental first. Some people, you can share amazing ideas and be like, brother, sister, here's our $1 million idea. As a family, this is what we can do. And as friends, this is what we can do. And you can bring a $1 million idea to people, whomever, and they can assume because they don't know or understand that it was never for them anyway. The natural progression of you is to be great. And you are going against everything you were created to do to insist that it's not so. And here's my new favorite quote. Let me grab it, y'all. I've learned never to close my mind to any idea simply because it is miraculous. Some of us are insisting on holding on to this false security, this falsehood, mess that we have created and built upon us because we cannot possibly open up our minds to the idea that there are miracles all around us and that we are simply the miracle that we are seeking, and that if we actually just did the work instead of validating our excuses, instead of doing, because you're doing a heck of a lot of work to make this false security so. You're doing a lot of work to build it up, stucco, make it pretty, paint it. You're doing a lot of work. And you're so focused on building up something that's not true that your mind is never even open up to the possibility of what is real. So I can bring you a $1 million idea, and I can give you, step by step, and I can say, step one, this is what we're going to do. Step two, this is what we're going to do. But if your mind is never open, and here's the thing, it only takes a second. I just want you to take this second to take a deep breath, open up your mind to the possibility of your greatness, and allow that idea to drop in, and it's that simple. Now build on that one idea. Oh, JoJo may not be, she crazy. But let me think about, because something she said this. Let me think about, build on that thought. Just like you built on that crazy thought, build on your possibility thought. Don't shut the idea down because you don't have the ability to understand the miraculous thing that is there. You are a millionaire. You're the only one that is insisting that you are not. You're fighting against yourself to tell yourself you're not. So on this wonderful Friday, I dare you, just for today, just for the second, if you can't even go the whole day, just for the second, think a good thought. Can we take a look at our false security? What are we holding on to that is not true? What are we building on? Can this be our day one that we let that good thought in? Can this be day one that we look around us and realize that we are tight and cramped and where we are and that we need to spread our wings? Can just for the day we not use age and our health restriction? Because you cannot use your health restrictions as an excuse. You can't use your age. You can't use your economics. You cannot use where you live. You cannot use your current circumstances as a reason why you cannot do a thing. So now we've eliminated all your excuses because everything begins here first. And then when you have the thought here and you build upon it, then you're taking it outside of you and it is becoming so. Your words are powerful, and they can leave you or take you. Now, if you're not moving, and some of us are angry and frustrated, and we're making it everybody else's responsibility on why we're not, when it's truly us That's not. It is truly us. You got to pay on Wednesday. We talked about paying the cost to be the boss. You got to make a decision. And you not making one is you making one. You want to say you the boss of you? Ain't nobody going to be the boss of me? Time to pay up, dog. As my daddy say. He said you got to pay the cost to be the boss, JoJo. And I used to work, if you're from North Far City, I worked at McDonald's in front of the mall my whole life. From 14 to 22, that's where you could find me, okay? And I told my dad, I was like, I want to be a manager. He said, baby, you're going to have to pay the cost to be the boss. Now, you say you want to manage anything. Let me see you do it. He said, because you can talk about it all day, but did you do it, though? Okay. The place where you made your stand never matters. What matters is that you were there and you're still on your feet. That's just a quote by Stephen King today. And the day when the wrist remained tight in a bud was more powerful, more painful than the risk it took to blossom. Some of you are hurting and in pain, and your body is telling you that you have outgrown your current situation, and you're not listening to your body, you're medicating it. You're depressed, and you have an anxiety, and you're frustrated, and you have high blood pressure, and your stomach hurts, and you're overweight because you have simply outgrown, and your body doesn't know how to cope with not being great. So your body doesn't know how to do that. It doesn't know how not to be great. If you think back when you were a kid, you had no restrictions on your thought process. It wasn't until someone gave you them that you had them. On Monday, we talked about what do you want? We talked about I want it. And if you don't know what you want, if you cannot articulate and you cannot say that, somebody will tell you what it is that you want and you will accept it as true. If you don't believe me, please look at your current life. Is it what you want? And if the answer is no, then that means you have accepted someone else's vision of your life for yourself and you have assumed it is what you want. That's why, again, your body is screaming at you. We don't like it here. Because your body doesn't understand that you're not great. It doesn't understand why you don't want to be. So on this wonderful Friday, it's going to be an amazing day. I welcome you to your journey of your day one. Not your one day, your day one. Because in order to begin this journey, we got to acknowledge our false security. We got to be able to make a decision about it. You got to pay the cost to be the boss today. Make a decision today, even if it's a small one. Because you making a stand and being this grand gesture, it doesn't matter. The point is that you made one. And you stood there in your decision, flat-footed, shoulders back, head up, chest down. You said it with your chest. This is my decision. I'm not going back that way. Let me acknowledge a little bit of my greatness. Let me, JoJo crazy, yeah. But let me just think about something she said just for a minute. That's all I'm asking. And I'm just JoJo from North Carolina. But I'm the only live past crazy specialist. I know crazy. And I know that thought process that you're getting ready to have that's going to keep you right where you are. And you can say, well, JoJo, you come on here every morning and you say this, but no, I live this because when I have those thoughts, because this is what happens. The further along you get on your journey, it doesn't mean that these things stop. It doesn't mean I don't have fear or I'm afraid to make a decision or I'm questioning what I'm doing or I'm not in the invisible stretch of the road. No, what it simply means is I can make a decision quicker than what I used to when I first started this journey. I built the muscle of decision making. I built the muscle of paying the cost. I built that muscle. But in order to build it, you got to have a day one. It can never be one day because that will never come. It will come on your deathbed. That's when one day will come. And some of us are already dead. Our body is in robot motion because you're not allowing yourself to think of the greatness of you. And if you take a minute to look at it, you can understand. If you take a minute and step back, you can see how you built up your own self-imposed restrictions. I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to take over the world. I wanted to be president of the United States, and I wanted to have a bookstore. I will have a bookstore. Hold fast. Watch me. PhD, okay, check. I don't want to be president like y'all. I didn't know no better. I wanted to have a rock band. I wanted to be a rock star. I sung my heart out my whole life. What dreams do you have or self-imposed restrictions that have taken away your dreams? And on this journey, y'all, it is so powerful when you become clear, when you take away everything, when you decide, let me go ahead and validate my excuses with myself. Let me go ahead and say, JoJo, that's not true, so take that away. And JoJo, that's not true. And then guess what happens? It becomes very clear your path of what you need to do. It's cloudy now because you're listening with your eyes. That's why you cannot hear and you cannot see. They're doing the opposite functions of what they are meant for. You are listening with your eyes. And here's the wonderful thing about this journey. Open your eyes, my brother and my sister. And the minute you open up your eyes to pay attention to your current reality, to let go of your false security, your vision is going to be blurred because it's finally doing what it was supposed to do. And it's okay to have a blurry vision, to look around and not understand where you're going on your journey. But the more you work on it, the more you use your vision to see, and the more you use your ears to listen, the stronger they become and the clearer your path is going to be on where you need to go. It starts with day one, not one day. So on this wonderful, wonderful Friday, amazing things are going to happen when you do that. You'll become clear on your journey. Your vision will become clear. You will understand and see, the only reason now why you don't know the next thing to do, the next decision to make, is because you're listening with your eyes. And you're not seeing with them. And the minute that you start to see clearly is the minute you see the next step. You be like, wait a minute. You'll put your glasses on and be like, is that a step? Oh, shoot, that's the next step. And guess where it was at? Right up under your nose. But because you insisted that you were not great, you insisted that you had no power, you insisted that you did not know the answer because you were listening with your eyes, and you're going to get mad at yourself. I got downright mad at myself and I was like, what? The answer was literally at my elbow. I was hitting it, but I couldn't see it because I was validating my excuses. It's okay. And eventually you got to laugh at yourself. When your vision becomes stronger, you'll laugh at yourself like, I really thought I couldn't do this. I really thought the answers would not be there. When the answers are there, you can't see them because you're listening with your eyes. Give your eye. And then this is how it becomes clear, boo. Let me bring it home. When you start listening with your eye, seeing with your eyes and listening with your ears, and you receive and respect the words that you see and you hear, and you apply them and not just hear them. Remember, doer of the word. And you read your owner's manual that says you are made for all things great, and let me show you how to do it. Then you're like, well, dog, the next right step is here. Then you're going to get excited. And then the more you go, the stronger you become in all decision-making possibilities. Now the path is so clear that you wonder why it took you so long to get there. And then you get excited. And then you remember all the things that you wanted to do before you have self-imposed restrictions. And then they are able to become a reality. But you got to start somewhere. And so today, it is our day one. Welcome. If this is your first time joining the Fearless Morning Show, welcome. Welcome to the Fearless Morning Show. My name is Yamitra JoJo Waddell, the only Live Past Crazy specialist. So what better place to be than here with me on this wonderful Friday, the quote of the day. And the day came when the risk to remain tight in a bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom. If you start to blossom, okay, other people will know that you're ready for the next right thing. Remember the quote, it's easy to stand in a crowd. It takes courage to stand up, to stand alone. And you're only standing alone for a minute. And that's just so other people, other sisters and brothers can acknowledge that, oh, she's ready for the next step. And so the answer that you're seeking is coming to you. But they don't know to give it to you when you're standing in the crowd. You got to stand up and say, hey, here I am. I'm ready for my next step. And the minute you do that, remember my dream where I said somebody was holding my hand? The minute you do that, someone is going to hold your hand to your next step. But boo, you got to stand up out of the crowd and say, I'm ready. You got to blossom. You got to come out of that tight bud. Eventually, you got to let it all out. You got to grow. Thank you, Miss Chantel. A to the men, I'm just saying, the natural progression of you is greatness. You have superpowers beyond your belief. And if you don't believe me, look at your world right now. What you're living right now is what you thought last week, last month, last year. And your superpower has created your current false security. It has created that. So what are you going to create today? Use your superpower to create something today. Let me tell you something. You can negate your superpower if you want to. You built the world you're in. You use your power to do that. Can you not use it to build something else? I just want to know. Validate your excuses with yourself. So on this wonderful Friday, please make sure you share the show because sharing is caring. If your friends and family do not have Facebook, send them over to the YouTube channel. If they don't have YouTube and they like to listen to podcasts, we got a whole podcast over there. It is called the Live Past Crazy Show. What else would you think I would call it? And I am revamping that, but you can catch some old episodes over there. So it is found wherever you listen to podcasts. We're on Apple, Stitch, everywhere. It's the Live Past Crazy Show. So make sure you check it out. If you would like to join the 5-day Self-Care is Gangster guided journey, where every morning you're going to get a prompt in your email, where you're going to really start this journey for real, go to bit.ly/gangstercare and sign up. But on this wonderful Friday, learn never to close your mind to any idea simply because it's miraculous. You are the miracle. You're it. I promise. And you may think I'm crazy, and that's okay. But you are the miracle. And the day came when the risk to remain a tight bud was more painful than the risk to blossom. And it's day one, and it's time to blossom. You got to pay the cost to be the boss. Make that decision today. Validate your excuses. Look at your false security. What have you been building up that's not true? And if you've done all that work to build that, could you not build something else? Use your superpower for greatness. And the natural progression for you is greatness. You going against, you're overriding your entire bodily system to insist that you're not great. That's a lot of work. So if you don't think you have the stability, the time, the to do the work of it, boo, you already doing it. You already doing that. You already doing it. So why not apply your superpower to something for what you really want to do? So on this wonderful Friday, I want you to have an amazing day. Please share the show because I cannot do this by myself. So if I said anything that has helped you, please take it and use it. And if there's nothing here that helped you, please leave it for someone else. But I'm a firm believer, if we can help one sister or one brother, she can take it back and he can take it back and he can change his family. She can change her family, who would then change the community, and we will change the world. And it's that simple, but we make it that complicated. So on this wonderful Friday, I want you to be amazing. I want you to be great. What? I want you to be peaceful, period, because there's nothing after that. Open up your mind to the possibility of your greatness. You are the miracle. Use your superpower for good today, not to build up a false security. Question why that is so. And then another question, why do you believe all of what's false and none of what's true? Who told you that? Who told you all those self-imposed restrictions? So I hope you have an amazing day. Please make sure you share the show. I appreciate you coming and spending your morning with me. I want you to be peaceful, period. And I will see you guys here bright and early on Monday morning. Have a good weekend. Happy first of the month, as Kiva said. So go listen to some Bone Thugs and Harmony. It's the first of the month to get your day started. Hope you have an amazing day, and I'll see you guys here bright and early on Monday morning. Have a good one.